take great honor and privilege in welcoming Sir Joseph to have a very short interview with him. Sir, we feel highly privileged to have you on this occasion. So I just would like to place one important question which always kept lingering in my mind. I wanted to know what made you to choose this profession, first of all, to be a teacher.
Yeah, you see, I was a teacher by choice rather than by chance. I did not get into teaching after the college studies because I did not get any other job. I had another job and I gave that up because I found that in that job I was something like a fish out of water, and therefore I took up teaching because that is something that came naturally to me. So I could have gone on in my previous job and gone into higher positions and all, but I preferred a teaching job where I could deal with the children and be a part of their growing up and the part of their formation. And that is how I came to teaching.
That's really great, sir. We also would like to know the choice being a teacher. Do you think it is more challenging in the present situation?
So, the career of teaching is not actually financially as remunerative as in other professions. But then what happens is that the satisfaction is much more. Especially when I started my career as a teacher, the returns were, in terms of money, was very, very small. But later on, of course, it became a little better. And during these days, it is much better than what it was when I started out. But the satisfaction you get out of it is immense. And particularly the satisfaction you get out from a private school job is supposed to be really immense compared to a government school as a teacher.
That's really good to know, sir. As a teacher, can you tell us how to enjoy teaching our subject?
Yeah, that's a good question. The first and foremost thing is that we as teachers have to be really knowledgeable in our subject. We have to know our subject inside out, upside down, whatever you want to call that, okay? And when you know the subject and you are delivering your ideas and concepts to the children and they respond to you, that means that your teaching has been fruitful, has been successful. And the moment they respond to you, the more they respond to you, the more you feel like giving to them. And that is the way of enjoying your teaching. So the fundamental basic thing is that a teacher will have to know his or her subject very, very well. And for that, he or she will have to do a lot of reading, a lot of writing, a lot of discussions, and attend a lot of seminars and all that as much as possible. And know the subject well, and then be very good at expressing whatever the concept is. Okay? I mean, your ideas. And if you are able to convey that to the children will naturally respond to you. And this is a kind of, a kind of chain reaction, right? That is, when they respond to you, you enjoy teaching, and when you enjoy teaching, they respond to you, but the more better. And so that is how the chain reaction that happens. Okay, so the most important thing is that the teacher must know his or her subject thoroughly.
That's truly knowledgeable, sir. You have been a teacher for some years, and all of a sudden, you happened to be a leader. So how do you find this transition?
You see, the transition did not come to me all of a sudden. In fact, I joined the Hilltop School as the head of the science department. So there is already a little bit of a leadership role there. And then from then on, I went on to become the vice principal of the school. And from there, I was promoted as the principal of the school. So the leadership role did not come to me suddenly like that. But then gradually I managed to grow into that. And so it did not come to me as a kind of something very extraordinary. So it came to me very naturally.
That's great. Sir, as a leader, what are the challenges that you faced, especially with the teachers and with the students and also with the staff who are associated with you?
See, a leader or a principal has got his own vision of how an institution has to be run and how it has to be molded. In order to get that perspective done, he will have to mold the staff that is under him and convince them about the goals and the targets of the institution, or what we call the ethos of the institution. So to get them to understand the ethos of the institution and to get into the goals that we are envisaging for the institution, it takes a little bit of time, and it takes a little bit of training for the teachers to get them into work as a team like. Okay, so that is one of the challenges, especially in the early years.
Yes.
But later on, as time passes, it becomes a little easier because the communication becomes a little more easier, and so they understand what the principal wants to be done, and the principal knows exactly who is going to do what and where and all that. So gradually it becomes a little easier. But the beginning years, what I found was that to convey to the teachers the goals that I had set for myself and set for the institution, and the ethos of the institution, and so that was a little bit of a challenge in the beginning especially.
That's really great, sir. Almost half a century of being a teacher. What is your vision for the future?
Future in terms of this school or my future?
To the terms of investment.
You see, this school, when I took it up, it was a small school. We had somewhere around 600 to 700 students. And today we have close to 1,200 students altogether. So it has been a long journey, very successful journey so far. That's one thing. Second thing is that we have established ourselves as a very well-known, renowned English medium school. When I talk about English medium school, there are so many English medium schools that are around. They are English medium for the sake of English medium, for just in the name of English medium. But then in reality, in actuality, they are not really English medium schools. As we know, English medium schools in the metropolitan cities and all that.
Yes.
Now, we have managed within this 10 years time to position ourselves as a real English medium school as understood by people who know English medium schools in the metropolitan cities. And so that is some positioning that we have done, and we have done that very successfully. So my vision for this school would be, I would imagine that in the very close future, say within around 3-4 years or 5 years time at the most, this school will be really in demand as a real English medium school. And I would imagine that we would be having somewhere around say 1,500 students in the school, high school alone.
That's amazing.
Now, the other thing is that we have managed to position our PU segment as a real center of excellence. And I am sure that the results of 2019-20 was really very good. And we had 100% pass in PU. And then this result of this year also, last year of course we did not have an exam as such. And this year also I am expecting very good results, and not only in terms of the PU, but also in terms of the competitive examinations, which will position us as one of the sought after PU colleges in the near future in this particular area. And also it will be growing a little bit faster, a little bit more in the subsequent years. And therefore I would imagine that we would be having a very good strength, say somewhere around 300-400 PU students altogether, first PU as well as second PU. And we would be running a very successful competitive examination coaching classes, just like any other reputed colleges around. And so that would be more or less the long-term vision that I have got. You see, the first thing that the groundwork we have already done, and we have already established our credentials as a very good English medium school. And the fact that even the little children, they speak very good fluent English, that is supposed to be a great credit to the teamwork that the teachers have done.
Exactly.
Okay. And so now it is supposed to be, we are in a position where we are we are in a position to launch ourselves into the next stage of growth. And that growth, I am sure, will take place within around, say, 4 to 5 years' time. And you will be the one that guides that growth.
We all hope for the best, sir. Being more passionate, dedicated, and committed leader, how do you think one chooses his co-workers?
You see, we get a lot of applications for teachers' job. And one of the very basic things generally I look at is whether the candidate has got good language ability. Of course, before that we check the credentials of the candidate in terms of the certificates that we use on them. But one of the important things that we have to check is the language ability of the teacher, and especially to teach whatever subject he or she is teaching through the English language. Because as we said, we are a purely English medium school. And so it is important that the teacher will be able to convey her ideas through the English medium. And so the children will be picking up all the words and the language that the teacher is using. That is the first thing. And the second thing is that we will have to find out if the teacher is I'll give you an example. We had a case of a teacher whose reputation was not that great. So at the end we had to say no to a situation where we had said yes. So we have got to find out whether the reputation of the teacher is good, especially if he or she is coming from a previous experience. And so it is very important that we select the teachers very carefully so that the aim of our institution will be fulfilled and the needs of the children will be met.
That's great, sir. I would not rather say that the journey is going to end. I would say that the journey is going to begin. How are you going to take this forward?
Well, there are many kind of beginnings that we can have. See, from here I will take a rest, and then during that time I will decide what to do, and probably I will be keeping myself occupied and busy, something like what I did with that N. translation. So that translation as such has taken me about 2 months or something, and it has kept me occupied over that period of time. So like that I will be able to keep myself occupied with some other engagement similar. I have been a very avid reader, so I do have a lot of books that are piled up to read. So I will be reading a lot of books that I really like to read. For example, I really love to read history, and so that is one of the things that I plan to do. So like that, as time passes by, there will be a lot of things that I would like to do, but I can assure you that I will not be sitting down idle, and it will be a kind of life that is really filled with something or the other, very constructive and very worthwhile.
So when you look back, what do you see that has grown from a scratch to this level?
You mean the school?
Yes.
Oh yeah, there has been a lot of changes, huge changes that have happened. You see, when I joined in, the second floor of this school building was being built, especially to my left ear. That part was just being built. There was a lot of construction activity that was going on at that time. And then that wing was completed, and this stage at which we are sitting down was just supposed to be a little bit of a raised platform made of bricks. And we used to be having the annual day there. Later on, I think it was in 2014, we started the new building, the construction. And in 2014 itself, we started the first PU. I mean, it was not actually the PU, it was the class 11 of the CBSE stream. But later on we realized that there was not much of a demand for the CBSE class 11 and 12, but the demand was for the PU, the state-run PU board. And therefore in 2015 we shifted to the state-run PU board. That batch that was that we commenced in 2014 with the CBSE class 11, that batch passed out in 2016, and we had a 100% result at that time with that particular batch. And then of course, with the first batch of PU, we had a very small group, and that also, excepting for one casualty, we had very good results from there. So overall, in physical terms, the school has expanded and all that. It means we had added this PU one. Also, in number terms, we have added a lot of students. So as I told you a little earlier, from around 600 to 700 at that time when I took over, it is now standing at around 1200. And then of course we have got a lot of additions in terms of the gates that we have put up, the development of the playing fields, then the infrastructure facilities that we had, the number of buses that we had. When I joined in, we had just around 4 buses, I believe, if I remember correctly. But today I think we have got around 17 buses. And so you can imagine the huge amount of expansion that has taken place over this particular decade. And as I told you, the thing that is really more emphatic and more noteworthy is in terms of the quality of children that pass out, that study here, and in terms of not only the language that I am talking about, not only the expertise with the English language, but even their behavior, their attitude, their body language and all that is far, far different from what the normal run of the schools have. And so if you look at the expansion that has taken place, the expansion has taken place in terms of space, in terms of numbers, and in terms of quality of the output that we have got from this school.
Excellent, sir. In this institution, you have passed almost 1 decade. Being a leader, more than a leader, being a teacher. You have seen your students blooming, and they were just a budding flowers. You know, how exactly you felt when you saw them growing? So what message that you want to convey to us in the course of their journey?
You see, these almost 10 years have passed. 10 years minus a few months, okay? And you do not, I am not able to convey to you the great joy that one feels when one sees these little kids growing up in front of us. And today, for example, there are some of these children of the first batch, 2013, who have already been, who have already become doctors, and there are others that are engineers, and there are people who are really on a job. And you see the great growth that has happened between the time that they were very small and today what they are. That is a great joy that a teacher feels. Okay, so when you realize that you have been a part of this journey of theirs, you really feel very delighted at that. There is no better compensation or better reward than that great joy, that thrill that you feel of having been a part of their lives.
Exactly, sir. It has been a golden period, Sir Joseph being as a principal in this great institution. And you have also received enormous support from the management. So what do you have got to say to the team of management, sir?
You see, when I joined here, Father Subhash was the manager. And then after that, in 2013, Father Shijo took up the administration job. Now, Father Shijo was a very dynamic person, and he really supported me in whatever I suggested. and he had given his input also to that. So we had a very close understanding between us, and that is the reason why we started the PU segment and all that. Okay. So the rapport between the manager and me has been really excellent, and that tradition was carried on by Father Sunil. And Father Sunil has been really a pillar of strength to me, and we have almost to say grown with each other. Okay, so he supported me in whatever endeavor that I suggested, and he had his own suggestions also, which, you know, when I tell him something, he accepts what I say, and when he suggests something, I accept what he says. If I have got an input to make, I make it. If he has got a suggestion to improve what I suggest, then we accept that. So there is a lot of give and take, really, literally a lot of give and take between Father Sunil and me. And that is the reason why over this last 2-3 years, we have seen a lot of development in the school in terms of physical structure, in terms of facilities that are available both in the school as well as in the hostel, and in terms of the quality that we have been able to provide to the children. We also had a lot of discussions about the training programs for the teachers, and those teachers that have been really adaptive to those training programs, they have really profited out of that. And we have got a very good team of teachers today that are really well trained, and it's all because of the rapport that has been created between the principal and the manager, particularly between me and Father Shijo in the beginning, and of recent times between Father Sunil and myself. We have had a tremendous understanding, and I really admire Father Sunil because he is completely, totally dedicated to what he is asked to do.
Excellent. What is the mantra of success to you?
That's very difficult to answer. But you know, the simple mantra of success to anybody in any career is be true to yourself and true to your job. Okay, you remember what Hamlet says, you know? Be true unto thyself, and it shall follow as the night the day. Thou shalt not be false to any man. So if you are true to yourself and you are convinced about your mission in life, then you will give your total, wholehearted effort into that. And it is bound to succeed. It is bound to produce the fruits that you desire. So the mantra is very simple. Be true to yourself, be honest to what you are doing, and be very, very sincere in what you are doing. And that's what I have found is a secret of success.
That's wonderful. So this campus has been a great driving force for many people to come in. How do you feel being in the lap of this nature?
Oh, it's beautiful. This surrounding is really wonderful. I remember there was Dr. Keys that used to visit us every year from Netherlands. He was a counselor, student counselor. He used to come here, and one year I remember he told me, I love to see the rain. Then I told him, why don't you come in June, July and all that, then you will be able to see all the rain as much as you want. And he was really delighted with the surrounding here. Then I pointed out to him, you see, if you look around here, you see the number of different shades of green that is there. Okay. Especially if you look at the whole thing from the top there, where the statue of the Sacred Heart, isn't it? From there, if you are looking, you see the beautiful panoramic view of the place. It's really wonderful. It will be really bewitching to anybody who comes here for the first time. The climate is really very good. It's cool, never very hot. The only problem is that there is a lot of rain around, but then that is very pleasant for most people. Okay.
It's truly nice, sir. If you have to write something in the book of memory, about your journey being as a leader, teacher in this great institution. What is that you're going to register?
Well, that's one of the things would be the great results that we have had over the last 9 batches of CBSE students that have passed out. That
Yes.
We had a clean slate of 100%, and this 10th batch that is going up in March 2022, I am sure will not be any different from the previous one. It will be as great as that. So overall, one of the landmarks in this has been the results. The other thing that would I would keep it in my mind would be the great annual days performances that we had over the years. And I remember some of the annual days that we had in, for example, in 2017, 2018, even 2019 when we had the annual day in Ernakulam. They are all spectacular successes because of the cooperation of the children, the talents that the children have exhibited, the cooperation of the teachers, and that it tells me that we have come a long way from being a very small school to being a very classical, established school. So that is another of the things that landmark things that will remain in my memory. And then of course we had the other activities like the sports days that we had, the sports activities that we had organized. And one of the things that I would like to point out is, like, for example, the other day we had the principals meeting of the SSSC.
Yes.
And all those principals that came, they were really impressed with everything, with the building, with the surrounding, with the behavior of the children, the way that the children met them, talked to them and all that, And most of them told me that this is a classical reflection of the values of the principal.
Amazing,
Yeah.
sir.
Indeed, because what happens is that if the children have been so impressive, it shows that the systems and the values that we have tried to inculcate are the right ones, and we have gone about it in the right way. So that's a thing that will remain in my mind for a pretty long time.
That's
Okay.
truly great, sir. Truly great. So this great institution has sheltered so many students. They have got a hostel here. What do you have got to say about it?
You see, this is a place where the population is very sparse. And if we are going to get those 1500 students into the school and 400 students into the field, the hostel will have to play a very vital role. And that means children from outside Chikmagalur district and from maybe even from outside Karnataka will have to finally be attracted to a center of excellence. And that is what we are trying to build up, and we have managed to do that to a certain extent in the education sphere. And this reputation has to go out into the outlying areas and all. And more people should be coming into the hostel in order to stay here and study here and make use of the facilities. And therefore, in that context, the hostel will have to play a very, very vital role. And I think the administrative reforms that have been put in place in the hostel of recently, they do play a vital role in that, a very important role in that. And they do have got a lot of say in attracting the children. So for example, in spite of the fact that we are taking in only students from class 6 upwards, we still have somewhere around 100 students in the hostel. And going forward, I am sure that there will be a lot of demand for the hostel, and the hostel will have to play a very vital role. Now, you see, the important thing that has happened in the hostel of recent times is that the studies have been very streamlined in the hostel. There has been a provision for tuitions that are in the hostel. And also gradually over the last 2 years we have seen that the results, the academic results of the children studying in the hostel have drastically improved and they are performing much better. So now gradually what has happened is that there is an atmosphere of academic excellence in the hostel also. So those children that are coming into the hostel, they want to study and come into the hostel, and therefore we will see more and more people coming to make use of the facilities here, and that will be one of the important factors that will decide the growth of this school and the BU college.
Very well, sir. Time is now changed. You might have witnessed a crucial challenges and you have given a wonderful solutions to it. What message that you will give forward to your student community?
You see, any organization or any school for that matter educates children, and the children at the end of their education, at the end of their time in the school, they are fiercely loyal to the school. But that is something I feel a little, disappointed, I can say. But the message that I would give to the children of today and the successive generations is that you are in an institution of repute like this, you get an excellent education, you make use of it, follow the value systems and all that have been imbibed here, and be loyal to the institution that has nurtured you so far. That, I think, is something that all the students should be able to remember, keep through life.
You have been a man of willpower and great strength. And if you look at today's generation, you would rather think that why this generation is so weak or so fragile. How to have that energy, how to have that enthusiasm, how to be curious always, especially as a teacher. How do you think that I can be more energetic all the time?
You see, the most important thing is that a child who is in standard 9, 10 and all that should be having an aim in mind. Should be having a kind of perspective that, when I grow up, I want to be so and so, or I want to do this, I want to do that. Some kind of, aim they should be having, some kind of goal that they have got in life, some kind of target that they have got in life, that they should be having. But unfortunately, what happens is that these days, most of the families are nuclear families. The children are pampered so much that they think that they can carry on like that through life in that way. And they do not have anything to achieve in life, they do not have anything to accomplish in life. That is something that I notice these days. And being passionate about academics, what I notice is that people have lost the habit of reading. So when they have lost the habit of reading, they have lost that perspective or vision that they were supposed to be having. They have lost that taste for academic things around. And so somehow or the other, we will have to make sure that the habit of reading is brought back to schools and children start the reading. And then, that will open up their perspectives, and that will give them more ideas and all that. And that will bring them back into the academics, and not as it is today, just academics as a touch and go affair. They learn something by heart, they produce that in the exam, and they get some results out of that, they are quite happy about it. But that passionate eagerness for excellence is missing, because that academic milieu is no more there, and that reading habits has gone. And therefore they have got, very few children have got really a kind of passionate aspirations and all that. So that has to be brought back, and the family, the parents, they play a very big role in that, and also the teachers will have to contribute to that, and that will be a great thing that we can do to the next generation.
Truly great hearing you, sir. Let the glory of this great institution go on. Talking to you for a while is having a great knowledge, I feel. And also, I take this opportunity, sir, to salute you and also to have a great anticipation that I will be walking into your footprints. Take us forward and be with us always.
All the best. I would like to introduce to you my interviewer of today, Mr. Sunil Patrick. Mr. Sunil Patrick has been handpicked after a long process to be my successor as the principal at St.Norbert Cbse School and St.Norbert's PU College. He originally comes from Udupi. His family migrated to Mysore, and he was born and brought up in Mysore, and he did his education in Mysore. He has got an MA degree in English, and he has got another MA degree in political science. He is a B.Ed. He has got a lot of experience in teaching, and he has been the principal, or he was the principal of St. Joseph's Central School in Mysore, and he is a very talented young man, and he is good at music, he is good at organizing, he is a great speaker, and in addition to all that, he is also a lawyer, he is a qualified lawyer. So he comes along with a great academic background, with a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of ideas, and a kind of passion for the educational field. So I introduce to you Mr. Sunil Patrick, my successor at St. Norbert School and St. Norbert's PU College.